Hello, 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 and welcome to Rockin'The Love. I'm Robin.
And I'm Gil, and we are coming to you on this Wednesday as we normally do at this time, 1 o'clock Mountain, 12 Pacific, and wherever else you are, it's your time. So we're happy to have you here with us. We are coming to you from our Albuquerque studios today. So we're honoring that with a couple of balloons just for fun.
We are doing that as well as our producer Michael Mangus is not here today, so you may experience many different qualities in our production because when we're multitasking, it's just not always as good. But we're going to do our best to bring it to you live and real. That's what we do. We keep it on the real, folks. So today on Rockin'The Love, we are talking about stepping in to the sacred flow of creation with perceive, believe, receive. That is the title of our show today. Perceive, believe, receive. And what happens when we widen our perception and really open that door to infinite possibility? So you don't want to miss that, because who the heck doesn't want to open the door to infinite possibility? So stay tuned. And in the meantime, how are you? How is your week?
Why, thank you for asking. My week has been really good, interesting, reflective, introspective, whatever. Just had a couple of nice days off because of the holiday weekend. Had some fun at a gathering of people, which was created by someone else, and that was really fun.
That's always fun.
Yeah, I've gotten to eat many meals at home with my wife. Do you know who that is? You met her? Anyway, we do that. That was good. So anyway, it's been a good week overall.
It has been a good week. It's so funny because when you talk about your week, I'm like, oh yeah. A while ago, I was thinking, what am I gonna say about my week? What's happened? Because I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it just feels like, it's always the same old, and that's really not ever true. Hey, Shay, good to see you out there. So yeah, with the 4th of July weekend was really nice. I mean, nothing terribly active, but that's really nice for us. So we really sort of just took time off.
We went to a movie.
We went to a movie. We saw Michael. That was
fun.
Jinx, you me, whatever I want. Yeah, and I was saying to Gail that this week I don't know what's happened. Call it Mercury in retrograde or whatever, aligning with whatever. But it feels like there's a shift. Do you all feel like that out there? We were talking to somebody else and we said that, and they said, yeah, I do feel like there's a shift. But I feel like there's this shift of, I don't want to say consciousness. That's such a big overused word, but for me, it certainly feels like a shift in my my clarity and my awareness of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's consciousness or what it is, but I don't know. As you were speaking that, what came to my mind was there's a shift in terms of the sense of ridiculousness in our country. And I sense that with the passing of the 250th celebration and just how poorly the partisan version of that fell flat on its face. And I think that's an indication of people finally not playing along to some degree. And I may be reading way too much into that. But
yeah, maybe.
That's kind of what, and so to me anyway, that was sort of that sense that something's moving, something's shifting, something's, taking on a new perception, a new activity.
Yeah. Shay says yes. I absolutely feel a shift in the past week, way more clarity, and just something going on is very good for me. Yeah, mystery. Yes, that's exactly it. It's like way more clarity. Like, I'm not I'm not triggered in the same way on certain things, and I just go, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I mean, it is a clarity. There's definitely a clarity in there. And when we were talking to our sister, we were talking about family stuff, and there was a definite clarity. And I would even add to that a reclaiming of self. You
Hmm.
know,
Interesting.
I mean, didn't you think that when you were talking to her yesterday? I mean,
Oh yeah.
right,
Oh
wrong.
yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? And the same thing, I mean, for me, like when I have that clarity, I feel like I'm reclaiming a part of myself that says, no, this is how I feel, not like, okay, whatever, or yeah, I understand, I can do that, or, but just a clarity that's like, yeah, this is it for me. This is it. So yeah, clarity, good word, Shay. God bless Shay. You always have the right words, so thank you so much. Even if you agree with Gilmore, whatever. So anyway, so before we go on to our topic today of perceive, believe, receive, what is happening in the world that's good news out there today, Gil William Olmsted?
Well, I have a little story of a young man from Kentucky, um, an 11-year-old young man who witnessed someone at his apartment. I believe it was his apartment pool, um, who went unconscious and had drifted to the bottom of the pool. And he noticed that no one was doing anything.
Oh my gosh.
And so he jumped in the pool and went down and pulled the guy up and got him out of the pool. And the pictures would indicate there's a scrawny little kid. You know, he wasn't like strapping young man, but he put his effort into it, and he said, "I wasn't going to let another man die today."
Mm.
And I
Oh.
thought, wow, that's interesting. And it's sort of a bittersweet good story because it made me think, why was he the only one? Why did it come to that? You know, on the one hand, how great that he had the presence of mind, and how great that is an indicator of going forward in this world, that someone that young would have that presence and be willing to do that. But it's still a little like, what the heck happened to the rest of the folks? But anyway,
Yeah, and we don't really know that.
we don't really know the whole story.
You know.
We just know a piece of it.
Right.
But people did compliment his dad for teaching him to swim. So maybe we had a lot of non-swimmers around that pool. I don't know.
Yeah, and who knows? You know, I mean, I think it speaks so much to um, just we don't know. You know, if we stand around and wonder why, then it's not going to happen. But you know, we don't know why he saw it, why he was the only one. Who knows? Maybe he was the only one that really saw it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we just don't know. And so, for me, the beautiful part. No, there's many beautiful parts, but one of the beautiful parts about that story is, again, he just acted. I mean, even if he thought, I don't know why nobody's doing this, but I'm gonna do it. You know, he just went and jumped in and did it. So I think that's great. Well, I actually had two good news stories, and I was like, I'm not going to do that one, but now I feel like I should do the other one.
Oh no! And our rules say only one.
Our rules say only one, so
And we don't want to break any rules.
Okay, so I will do the other one next week. Although it is about an otter who finds people underwater and remains.
Oh.
So, but hold on to your seats for next week. Because this week I'm going to go with pop culture. And I thought, you know, since all the talk is about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and their big wedding and their all the mystery around it and what was happening. I thought it was really important, because haters gonna hate, and there's all these people that are judging all the different aspects of it and all those things. But I thought what was really cool that the week of their wedding, that they donated $26 million to food banks and children's hospitals and all more charities. And I thought that is really important, to just see how people are working their money and are giving their time and are I I don't have any opinions, but it feels like to me they are genuinely interested in humans succeeding on the planet. So they donated to the Harvest Food Bank, to New York Cares, to the LA Regional Food Bank, to Harvesters in Kansas City, to Brad Paisley's organization, the store in Nashville, to Helping Harvest in Pennsylvania, to Rhode Island Community Food Bank, to Feeding America, the ASPCA, to Grammy in the Schools, and to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. And they also donated to education through music, and that's an organization that gives mentors to kids in school, and to more organizations than I need to name. But I just think it's really important that they're the example of what you do when you're successful, and giving from the heart and all those things, because I'm not sure that that's happening these days with all the kids that are influenced by YouTubers and influencers and things like that. And so,
And they didn't even set up a spurious foundation.
a what?
A spurious foundation,
Mm.
one that is questionable or eventually gets outlawed. So I think that's that's a testament to their sincerity about the whole thing. And it's not a ploy to hide their money; it's a ploy to actually give. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too. And at their, what I heard is that at their wedding, they said no gifts, absolutely no gifts. And I think that's beautiful.
But they gave a lot of gifts to people
They-
who were there.
They gave gifts to everybody that was there. they gave many parting gifts and things along the way. And I just think it's a great picture out there. So,
All right.
oh, look, we have a listener from Ohio.
Ohio? Who knew? We never have anyone from Ohio. My
Oh,
goodness.
no matter where we go, we can't get away from him. Welcome to our producer from the other side, so to speak. He is in the other chair, the chair with all you out there, and watching us, seeing how we'll do. So, whether we're doing great or not, just act like we are. Like it, like us, put great notes in the chat. Anyway, so Shay says, last week after we talked about decisions, I made a few that really works. I listened to my own wisdom. Who knew?
Who knew? I had it inside of me. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, that's great. And I think maybe that's what happened, Shay. We all listened in a different way. And maybe that's the shift, So thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes I forget what we talk about from week to week, and it makes a difference. So, all right, okay, be on your best behavior. Michael says every goof up will cost you $1. I'm talking to you.
Me? It's
Producer
going to cost
of the
me
day.
$1?
It's going to cost you $1.
Woo!
He's
Okay.
not talking to Shay.
Okay, man, I'm going to get out my. Oh, that's right. I got out my last $5 yesterday. Out of my wallet.
Okay, we live in an abundant universe, and so when we return, we are going to go to Perceive, Believe, and Receive. and see where that gets us. So don't go away. Stay right here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Hello, and welcome back to Rockin'The Love. I'm Robin.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to be with you this afternoon, or evening, morning, wherever you are. We are having fun with our regular scheduled programming about the joy of relationship. That's what Rockin'The Love is all about. And so we're going to go into that a little deeper today.
Yes, we are, as we explore, perceive, believe, and receive. So, what does that mean? What are we looking at? When we widen our perception, what happens? So we're inviting you really to stop shrinking your good and to start trusting your highest potential, and see what happens when life rises to meet your belief. So
when the road rises up to meet you. Sorry, it's a literary.
That's okay. I'm going to charge you $1. Anyway, that's kind of what's on our mind. We just thought we'd talk about that and see what comes up.
Yeah. So perception is an interesting thing because, this perceive, believe, receive, this kind of created order of things can be looked at in multiple ways, but the way we're looking at it is that if we can perceive a possibility, then we can move forward. And so we have to be able to get that it's possible, to be able to believe it, while at the same time we have to let go of our beliefs that would tell us it's not possible before we can perceive it. So there's a little bit of give and take between the two, but the whole concept is, that we don't see the reality of things around us. What we see is our perception of them based on what we believe, what we think, what our experience has been, what we've been told. So, if my belief is that I can't live in a house bigger than 4 bedrooms because people like me don't have houses like that and it's not okay, then that belief and that perception becomes my reality at some level.
Yeah.
And if I can't perceive the idea that could be mine, or that I could have I'm thinking guest house, vacation house somewhere else, or whatever it is. And I just use that as because it's a whatever. But
So I'm thinking, as you said this, or as we just talked about the title, I'm thinking that literally we could take 3 shows to do perception, belief, and receiving.
yeah,
And so I think that that's what we should do, because as you're talking about perception, I'm thinking in my head, yes to what you've said, and I have a whole different idea of perception going on in my head. So let's dive into perception, and obviously we can touch on the others, but let's focus on that.
okay.
And I think, you pretty much just explained how perception shapes our reality before anything else real happens, right?
Right.
And so I'm thinking about perception in a different way, because I happened to, when I was looking up, I actually Google, I always Google whatever show title I come up with just to see what happens. And when I did, I Googled, and it was like 9,000 different Bible quotes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And also I was reading this article that sparked a thought in me about perception and how different it can be in relationships, just all of us in relationship to each other. For example, when this happened to us the other day, we both listened to a voicemail from somebody. I don't remember exactly what it was, and we both got 2 different things from it. Do you remember? Or like, what happens when we have an argument or a disagreement, and we've both seen the same things, but we've perceived it differently. I'm joking. If you could talk for a minute.
Okay, so you would recover. So yes, we all have that experience where we have been in some situation. We have witnessed something happening. We have heard the story. We have had someone in our lives say something to us that we heard as a particular thing. And it's all about our perception of what we're expecting and what we expect it to be and what it looked like to us from where we were and all those things, which does not necessarily line up with what is. Right?
Right.
So that's one of the aspects of perception, is that often when we are in a situation, witness a situation, we can have hugely different perceptions. Well, one of the things I was looking at talked about how the fact is that most of us are trapped in our perceptions. And what distinguishes great innovators from the rest is that they are able to expand out and see the bigger picture. And I think that was one of the things we were talking about in terms of perception, was that when we can expand that perception and see something beyond what our experience is telling us it can or should be, that's when we get the opportunity to perceive something, some possibility that's beyond where we are. And then that lets us move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But if we can't perceive the possibility that ocean water can be transformed into drinking water, then there is no way to come up with the invention that does osmosis.
Right.
Because we just don't get that it's even possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think we obviously perceive on all different levels. And, when we're talking about, there's one thing about perceiving a situation differently. And then I think the bigger picture, because it's for me, when we're talking about how we perceive a situation, it's about are we willing to open up to a different interpretation, right? To a different spectrum. Whereas when we are talking about perceiving in terms of receiving in our life, I think then the question becomes, where in our life are we perceiving small?
Mm-hmm.
Where in our life are we limiting ourselves? What limiting belief are we holding that we could shift? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Welcome. I just want to say welcome out there to Suzanne Clump, Sue Clump. Welcome. Good to see you out there. And of course, our one of our besties, Reverend Savannah Noel. Thank you for being out there. I know you have something to say. So type in the chat, please, and let us know your thoughts. Take a little weight off Shay. She's working hard. So
Shay says, yes, I was talking about this morning with Reverend Melissa. We were talking about the movie Disclosure and how Steven Spielberg has been a visionary for decades.
Mm.
And I think that's incredible. Some of the, these people who have lasted in producing and creating movies over time have always been, I believe, as you say, having a perception that's definitely wider than many of us. They're seeing this possibility that seems to be beyond what's possible. Even with, you're talking about in the sense of literally making the movie. Because sometimes there's so much involved in it that people would say, well, that's too hard, or it costs too much, or whatever the deal is.
yeah, and somehow they're in tune with that piece of limitless possibility, that it's all possible. It's all possible until proven otherwise, which is a different angle than, it's not possible. How could that be possible?
If we perceive ourselves and if we believe that we are spiritual beings, if we believe that the life of spirit is revealed through us, then if spirit is all possibility, then where are our limits? Our limits come from our own inability to see the wider picture, our own refusal to see the larger picture, our own response to the traumas and whatever's happened in our lives that we hang on to that still keep us from seeing those. You know, it's not. It's in a sense, it's not that big a thing to think that there's anything's possible.
Right.
You know.
Right. And Shay says, absolutely, Gil. I get full body goosebumps talking about this because I have direct intelligence that it's true.
Mm.
That's fantastic.
Thank you, Shay.
Yeah. And it's about, I mean, on some level, it's about tuning into that divine intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And allowing that to really lead you.
Yes. I was thinking that for a second. What was going through my head was this idea that that I question all of that. I question whether or not, you know, when something shows up and says this is the thing, and I think it's beyond my ability or beyond my means or beyond whatever, then suddenly all things are not possible in my head. And so if I can't perceive that possibility, you know, then how could it ever become a reality for me? Because I don't see it. I can't see it.
Yes. So I have two questions dancing in my head. So where do we still perceive through fear instead of through possibility?
Mm.
You know, where, because there are times where you are full out and I am full out in possibility mode. No, and now we like that mode. No, we'll make it happen. It's possible. We'll do what others say cannot be done. We'll blah, 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 blah. You know, and then there's other days and where we're coming from that small place of like, no, it's not going to happen. I can't do it. It won't work.
I'm too tired. It's too much. Nobody wants to help. Whatever the hell the story is. For me anyway, it's usually connected to a story of why it is impossible. And so what's that about? I think that's about if I can put a story on it and then I don't have to, you know, accept that perception, then I don't have to believe it and I don't have to feel anything about not receiving it. Because I've already explained it away. I've already gotten rid of it.
Yeah. Shay says, how to reconcile this information with regular life in a body is part of my life's work. I think it's not part of all of our life's work.
Yeah.
I mean, but Reverend Keith says we are the nexus point between heaven and earth. I have to ponder that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are heaven and earth. We are the experience of the greatest and the least. And so it's more about, are we willing to allow ourselves to perceive the good that is, or are we going to stay stuck in the things that make us feel safe? Because we're familiar, we know them. It's happened before. We survived it. It wasn't great, didn't like it, we lived through it. And that must, that's one of the things that's talked about in some of the places I looked, is that, of course, our minds are functioning from a perspective of survival. We are looking to keep the species alive, or in this case, keep ourselves alive and protected. So running outside of that box is not that wise, because anytime you introduce any kind of possibility of failure, you could introduce, massive destruction, if you will, in the self. And so there's this thing between the two. And I think it's like the talk that our own Reverend Kamatara did from Rio Grande Center a couple weeks ago. And by the way, we are knowing the truth of her activity right now.
She just texted. So.
She just did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all is well.
Okay, good. All right. So, but what she talked about was she brought up something that Barbara Mark Hubbard had said many years ago, and that is that we are witnessing the evolution of evolution. Evolution from the idea of survival to a planned, intentional evolution toward thriving. And I think we're all caught in that space between the two, where if we aren't conscious, if we aren't aware, if we aren't paying attention, then we move into that evolutionary circle of survival. But if we want all that is available to us, we have to consciously shift to the things that talk about our thriving, that are the things that make us truly happy, the things that invite us to move ahead, the things that invite us to challenge ourselves. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the kind of conversation that makes my head hurt. No, really, because there's, as you know, there's so much technical, and I'm so feeling that sometimes I'm like, okay. So, Kamatar said exactly to you. I mean, Shay said exactly.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
Exactly. All right, I don't know what I said exactly, Shay, but I'm going to take your exactly as positive feedback.
So the question becomes, how do we discern? How do we move from that place of fear instead to that place of possibility? How do we know? So this is where it starts to merge, right? In that, what beliefs are running our head? What's running our game? And how do we shift from that place of maybe, I hope, to that place of I trust that this is the path to follow, not even knowing if it's the path that will be done, but that this is the way to move, the path to follow. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, I think a couple things happen. First of all, I think fear often gets us stopped, period. In which case, if we're not moving at all, then we can't ever get towards anything new. But I think if we're sensing something is about keeping us safe, about making sure that other people like us, it's about being perceived by others in a way that's positive. But I mean, if those are the main issues in terms of when we're making a decision or looking at a situation, then I think we're not necessarily listening to what is our call, because our call is to, as you just said, take the step into where we're being called right now, and without even necessarily, without knowing the why and the how, or especially the how, without knowing the how. Because if we're acting in that space where we're only working from what we've previously perceived, previously believed, then we're working from the place of knowing how it's going to work, what the timeline is, what's required, all those things. That's how we're going to make our decisions. And the other side of it is we see a possibility and we go, I don't know how that works, but I see it.
Right.
I can feel it.
So it's about shifting on some little. It's about shifting the movement of like believing in something before evidence is there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in trusting the unknown, in trusting what you can't see,
Trusting what you can't see. It's having that when we are living with, I believe, a spiritually wide perception, we are able to sense and feel the wider field, even if we can't in our heads exactly see how that's going to work, or how it might work, or even exactly why it should work. Right?
mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we're looking to widen that perception and go, oh, no reason for me not to have a vacation house. I'm not sure how in the world that could ever happen based on what I think now, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means I don't know how. And so maybe I want to set my mind to that's the thing I would like to see happen and see how it starts to unfold.
Yeah, I'm listening, and I'm just trying to focus in on that perception piece. So I'm going to read Shay's thing and see if that takes me there. Being courageous enough to be obedient to the calling in spite of the fear. Just did an action this morning that I feared, but it was a definite calling, so I just did it. No negative consequences yet. Oh, and Shay, you could have a vacation room at my place. Rocky Mountain High.
Thank you. And Shay, really, that's exactly what I'm talking about. What is a vacation home? I mean, when we get stuck in the perception of a vacation home is it's a 3-bedroom brick and mortar place that I own, that I have full access to, that is all of that necessary to have a vacation home? Perhaps my vacation home shows up when it's time to have the vacation. Or,
But again,
that's
it's about perception, right? Because if you say to me, let's get a vacation home, and we sit down and we write out what it looks like, it could be totally different. Yours might be in the mountains at the lake. Mine would definitely be at the beach. Things like that. Like what?
So apparently I'm going to Shay's by myself.
But you know what I mean.
No, I do. And
I'm actually very open. I would take a vacation home almost anywhere. I really would, because it's a vacation. It's not. Anyway, but yeah, so like our perception, and as a couple or in a partnership with anybody, even your job, what does it look like if you have a different perception than your boss and it doesn't get talked about or it doesn't get met in that way?
And I think that's where we stretch perception is, for instance, how can I perceive a very happy vacation place at the beach. And you might want to look at, can I perceive a very happy vacation place in the mountains? But in some ways, our own biases about those things cause us to immediately go to, well, I prefer this and I prefer that. And preferences are all fine. I'm just saying, sometimes we get caught in the place of, I can't even imagine that being fun. And we kind of had a discussion the other day about cruises with someone. They have no thought that it could be fun at all. And, part of that's, I think, perception. And that's where that's not really a super important one, but it is this idea of how we get locked into our perception of the world. It's not the truth of the world, it's just our perception.
Yeah, so it feels like in some ways, perception is really where creation begins on some level. It's the lens that through which we meet the world, but more importantly, it's the lens through which we meet ourselves. So when we can consciously widen that lens, that space, then we stop seeing through our old stories, our old wounds, whatever, our inherited limitations, our, stuff put down on us from the media or whatever. And we start to perceive from the truth of the one, from spirit, right? And so that becomes a more spacious, infinite place of possibility kind of space to create from, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. And it kind of goes to that idea of the interchange of perceive and believe. Because I think those beliefs which we hold about what isn't possible are the ones that we have to let go of to some degree to be able to perceive what is possible and then shift into the belief of that. So it's almost like we have to start in the middle, go to the beginning, and come back to the middle.
Well, yeah, and I think when we're starting in perception, when we're thinking about that, as we let go of some of this stuff and that space opens up, then we're also open to other possibilities and more of the invisible. And if I take it back to the place where you and I just watch something, we do this all the time. I go, oh, it's over there, and I point, and you go, where? And you don't even see where I think I'm pointing.
Right.
Because my perception is I'm pointing right at it, and your perception is it should be, 2 degrees to the left or whatever.
Usually it's 15 or 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying not to make you that wrong.
Oh.
Anyway, but you know what I'm saying is we can then live into a larger space and give ourselves an opportunity to see with a wider lens, with a wider angle, and even if it's not our perception, we're open to at least understand others' perception. And it actually, it kind of reminds me of politics, not going there, but like I when we talk about this era of politics and other eras of politics, I often say that even when, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, when there was politics, when there's one side and the other side, I might not have agreed with the other side, but I could understand their perspective. There was a way, it wasn't necessarily making mine wrong. It was different, and they saw it a different way, and I could understand where they thought they were living into the highest and best from that perspective, And now it seems like when we take that perspective of being right, then we close off the lens. Then there's no space for moving into another realm of possibility.
Right. I'll tell you what's going through my head real quick, and then I guess we should wrap this up. But
We should, or we'll have to pay $1.
I know. So, but I was just thinking, my intention with my life is to serve people, and I believe yours is very similar, is to figure out how to support other people in finding their blessings, their goodness. And I currently, in terms of work, do that as a minister and you're a practitioner, and we're involved in one particular organization, and la 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 la. And what if I was unwilling to see any other options that might be there in terms of how I could continue to be who I'm called to be somewhere, somehow else? What if my thing was, yeah, but that's not it. And then that's just my belief about it, that that's not it, or that it couldn't be somewhere else, or that I couldn't ever move from the particular part of where I am to something else,
Yeah.
that I shouldn't think about doing anything different. And I just think that's where the rubber meets the road, is where we can open up to that wider perspective. That we could perceive our lives being fulfilling and doing what they need to do in a multitude of different ways.
Yeah. And Shay's quoting Course in Miracles, and saying that sometimes the prayer could be, please God, cause me to see this differently and change my perception. Yeah, and I think you just spoke to it. I think perception isn't about changing the world. It's about changing the way we see our place in it, right? And when we expand our perception, we expand our life. So as you go out into your week, everybody, just notice what you're perceiving, and honor what you're believing, and stay open to what's ready to be received. And as we know, Spirit is always offering more than we can even imagine. So it's about our willingness and being the key to unlocking it all. So we are going to continue this conversation into believe and receive. So stay tuned the next few weeks. I'm also thinking that if you do this as your talk kind of thing into the next 3 weeks, that's a great invitation into our 30-day book study that we're going to be doing, that you're all invited to, on abundance. You'll be hearing more about that in the next couple of weeks, and we'd love to have you join us virtually. And that's it for now. Just keep choosing expansion and trust and Rockin'The Love. See you later.
Rock on, everybody.